Hi, my name is Rachel Paxton. Today I'm going to show you how to can rose petal jelly. In this class you'll learn how to can rose petal jelly. I'll lead you through the process step by step. I'll give you the recipe and canning supply list that you can download and print out for future reference. You'll also gain the confidence you need to try more canning recipes on your own. My name is Rachel Paxton. I'm a freelance writer and mom of 5 children, ages 28 to 6. I've been canning for more than 20 years, and I'm the owner of the website creativehomemaking.com. For this recipe, you'll need a cup of fresh rose petals, 3 cups of water, the juice of 1 lemon, 4 cups of sugar, and a box of powdered pectin. You'll need a boiling water canner or a large stock pot, a canning rack if you're using your own stock pot, a fine meshed sieve, a jar lifter, a wide mouth funnel, and 3 pint or 6 half-pint canning jars. This is what a boiling water canner looks like. If you don't have one, you can use a large stock pot as long as it's tall enough to cover your jars with 1 inch of water. You can buy this canner along with the wide mouth funnel and jar lifter for about $30 on Amazon. There's a link to this in your course materials if you need to order one. This is what the canning rack looks like. It comes with the boiling water canner, but you can also buy them separately for about $10 if you want to use your own stock pot. You can't just put your jars in the bottom of the stock pot. They need to be raised on a canning rack like this so they aren't sitting directly on the bottom of your pan. This is what a fine mesh strainer looks like. It just sits in the top of your measuring cup. A jelly bag is sometimes used for straining when you're making jelly, but for this recipe that's not necessary since the rose petals are so big. These strainers are really inexpensive. You can find them at Walmart, or there is a link to one in the supply list in your course materials, and it just needs to have the mesh small enough that will catch all the debris and let your clear liquid run through. You also need a jar lifter, a wide mouth funnel. First, you want to fill your canner with about 3/4 the way full with water and heat to boiling. Sterilize your jars, rings, and lids in the dishwasher. If you don't have a dishwasher, you can boil them in water on the stove, but the dishwasher is easier if you have one. First, you want to collect pesticide-free rose petals. This is really important. You're going to basically be eating these, so you want to make sure that your flowers don't have any poison or chemicals on them. You can pick roses out of your yard, or you can go and pick wild roses out in the country somewhere if you're fortunate to live somewhere where there is wild roses. We have lots of wild roses around where we live, so it was easy for me to find lots of roses to choose from. You'll find that the wild variety, at least in my experience, has more scent to them than the ones I grow in my own yard, so these just smell wonderful. So you definitely want to have the ones with the most scent because they will give you more flavor for your jelly. First, you want to snip the white ends off the petals to remove any bitter taste. I wasn't good about getting the ends off of all of them. It's not super important, but you will notice a difference in the flavor in your jelly if you leave them all on there. So snip them off the best that you can and get rid of any leaves or anything like that. Next, this step is sort of like making tea. You want to place your rose petals in a stock pot and just cover them with water, just barely, and bring it to a boil. And then you want to remove the pan from the heat and let it sit for 10 minutes, just like if you were using herbs to make tea. You'll notice that all the color has come out of the rose petals, and you want to pour the liquid through your fine mesh sieve, and so that you just have liquid and no debris in your liquid. After you boil your rose petals, this is what color your liquid will be. You've lost all the color of your roses, and there is a way you can leave it this way if you want. You don't have to color it, but for this recipe you actually don't need to put food coloring in it to make it turn red. If you are using fresh rose petals, which you should be anyway, if you add the juice of 1 lemon, or you can also use 3 tablespoons of bottled lemon juice, this will change the color back to the color that the roses were. So add your lemon juice to the liquid and add any water if necessary. You need to have exactly 3 cups of liquid. And this is what color it will be. This is what color it turned after I put the lemon juice in it. Next, place the liquid in the pan and stir in the pectin and bring it to a boil. Next, you want to pour the sugar in all at once. It's important to measure your sugar all together, because if you're measuring it as you go, as you put it in the pan, it's very easy to lose count of how many cups you put in, and you don't want to ruin your jelly. So measure all your sugar together and pour it in all at once. You want to heat to a boiling that cannot be stirred down. That means that when it starts boiling, if you stir it, if it stops boiling when you start stirring it, that is not quite hot enough yet. So when it starts boiling and you stir it and it continues to boil even when you're stirring it, then it's hot enough. And then you want to set your timer for 1 minute. Remove your pan from the heat. You'll see a little bit of foam on top of the jelly. The foam isn't going to hurt anything, but you don't want to have a jar full of foam. So use a metal spoon to get as much of the foam as you can off. This is actually easier with jelly than with jam. You'll find that most of it will peel just right off. Next, ladle your jelly into your sterilized jars, leaving a 1/4 inch headspace. The headspace is the amount of space between the top of the jelly and the top of the jar. It's important to have the right amount of headspace when you're canning, because your food will expand while it's being heated, and there needs to be enough room in the jar for the food to expand. Next, wipe the rims of the jars with a damp paper towel or dish towel. This is to make sure you get a good seal. Place your rings and lids on the jar finger tight. Place your jars in boiling water. Make sure that the water is 1 inch above your jars and process them for 10 minutes. Use a jar lifter or tongs to remove the jars from the canner. Set the jars on a towel on the kitchen counter to cool. Usually your jars will seal in the canner, but sometimes it can take 10 to 15 minutes after you take them out of the canner for the jars to seal. When it seals, you should hear a pinging noise. If you push your finger in the middle of the lid and it goes down and up again, it is not sealed. You can still eat it, but you need to put it in the refrigerator. If it is sealed, you can put it in a cool, dark area for 1 to 2 years. I really had fun with this rose petal jelly. I'd never tried it before. I'm actually trying some other things with the rose petals, like making rose petal iced tea. It was just really fun going to pick the roses and then making the tea out of them to make the jelly. And it's definitely an acquired taste. Not everyone's going to like this, and the jelly does taste like the roses smell. But this is kind of a fun thing for girls, and maybe I'm sure some guys like it too. But it's a good present idea, and I gave a jar to a friend for her daughters to have a tea party. So I think this would be a great thing for tea parties too. So it's a fun thing to try at least once. I actually like it, and I'm going to keep eating it, and it was just really fun. So hopefully you will enjoy it too.